Documents came out, they're again showing the priority list of who will get this vaccine first. And one of the big surprise one is that prisoners, because of their confined living space, will actually outrank, if you will, those who are 65 and over with medical comorbidities or anything.
Even just 65 and up, and others.
And the ones that
right.
also have it. So let's go ahead and go to Colorado.
Let's go to Joyce on line 2 in Colorado.
Hi, Joyce.
Thank you so much for putting Colorado out there. Most of the people in jail are only there for 17 days or later. So, it's ridiculous. That's
interesting. That's an interesting fact. It's like a bonus for going to jail.
Jump ahead
like if you're
going to
do like a minor crime, you're like, well, I really want to get this vaccine early. So like you'll just go in.
Not suggesting anyone do that.
No, that's just an odd statement. It is crazy. I'm glad that you are making news. Is this a big story for you guys in Colorado? Is this like the number one headline? Because we're seeing it sort of casually throughout the news here.
Are you kidding me? It's the mainstream media. If it wasn't for Facebook, if it wasn't for some of you guys, Sean Hannity and people like you guys, I would have not had any idea at all. But these guys that are getting this are out in 17 days. It's a double whammy. They get out of the jail, and you have no clue at all where in the heck they're at to give them that second one.
Oh,
and that's the other point, too, because it's 2 weeks or 21 days, depending on the vaccine. After your first dose, you have to get the second dose. So I don't feel like a lot of people that maybe were, as Joyce is pointing out, they were in jail getting the first dose, and then they're going to go back to their former residence.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to this prison to get, what do you got to do? I got to do another minor crime.
And so at that point, then it's probably a wasted dose, and so it could be a large population receiving a wasted dose
theoretically,
of this.
All right, well, Joyce,
jumping ahead of that.
Joyce, thanks for calling. We're going to move on to some other calls, but we appreciate you giving us a call and obviously giving love to us and to Sean Hannity, which we're all for. Sean's been on this show before. Obviously, we're good buddies, so that's good. For certain schools, I know that certain vaccines are required.
Right.
I mean, whether it's the chickenpox or some of other vaccines that you get when your kids are little. So, though this is a new vaccine, they could say, hey, you don't have to get it, but you also don't have to shop at my business. You don't have to fly on our airline. Ticketmaster, we know, has put out what their thing is to prove that you have the vaccine.
Right.
A lot of people have issues with that. But there are going to be those private business. And look, I'm big into private businesses being able to do kind of, whatever they want in terms of rules. Obviously there are
and
requirements.
As well, if you're a frontline worker that's in, say, an assisted living facility or a nursing home,
you're making that decision
I could
somewhat.
see the business saying, listen, as a business, we're making a decision because our customer base, our clientele that we serve are all at risk. And when you see what happened in New York, when you see what happened in many other places in the country, the hardest hit community is the assisted living and nursing home community because of the congregate living situation and all at-risk demographic of people that have comorbidities and the age factor working against them with this virus. Yep. And so I could see... Now, I don't think that's going to be maybe a state mandate. In some states it could, where a governor's like, if you're working at this place, then you have to get that. And I think that could also bring up legal challenges of dictating how the hiring practices work. But I could see most businesses in that instance say, if you're working with patients that are at risk, you're probably going to be...
You got to do it, unless you have some sort of, reason not to.
Right.
Or medical reason. Let's quickly take Janice in Illinois.
I just wanted to comment on the prisons. My son is in prison. He's very young. He did something stupid, but he's a good kid. He's been in there for a year. He's got a couple more to go. They are locked in their cell for 23 hours a day. It's with another person. There's not enough room for them both to stand up at the same time. He's gained a lot of weight. We haven't been able to visit him. He gets out for 1 hour a day to take a shower and make a 20-minute phone call.
Look, I think, Janice, I understand your comment. You say he needs the vaccine too.
And that's the concern of the prison, saying that they're trying to not have people interact, I guess, to limit the spread within there.
What I think we need to clarify, Janice, I think your points are valid. I'm not belittling that and saying there aren't good people who are in prison or made a mistake and are that's why they're there. They're somewhat atoning for it, if you will. Should there be prison reform in these situations? Absolutely. I'm very much in for that. But also, Janice, when I look at your situation, and I do have to, though, go say, does that person get the vaccine before the people, though, who are at most risk when it becomes this, which are people who are over the age of 65, specifically those with medical risks. And though I appreciate the fact that you think that this should be the way it is, and look, I understand it will get there. It should get there. It should get to prisons. I'm not saying the prisoners shouldn't be vaccinated.
Right, 100%.
That's insane. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm more saying if we're going to start listing on who gets it first, those who are in prison shouldn't be in the top first to get this. This needs to be people who really need it. And then we'll work our way there.
Right. Limit the spread in the at-risk communities and save lives in those communities before then just picking and choosing populations that may have a spread risk but not necessarily a life risk. Yeah.
And if you wanted to say, hey, prisoners who are over this, that's at least another
if it's
caveat.
Across the board, you're going age
yeah.
Age
everyone,
down,
if you're over
communities.
65 and you're a prisoner and you want to get, I think that's a different situation.